Hi kids, I'm going to read you another story. This one is called The Night I Had a Fight with the Almost Tooth Fairy. I'm Tommy, but most people call me Tommy Tall Tales because I've been known to tell some mighty tall tales. But not this time. No siree, Bob. This here story I'm about to tell you is the honest truth. Cross my heart and I'll eat a slimy slug to prove it. That's kind of gross. It all started one night when I got into a potato fight with my brother, Tug. We were arguing about whose turn it was to help Mama with the dishes, and Tug picked up a potato and threw it at me. Well, of course I threw it right back at him, but I didn't see the next one coming as it flew out of Tug's hands. That potato hit me smack dab in the mouth and knocked out one of my front teeth. Blood was pouring out, and I hate to tell this part. I started crying like a baby. I wasn't scared of the blood, but my mouth hurt worse than the time I bit down on a cactus, and I was madder than Mama Goose when we go chasing after her babies. Mama gave me some ice to suck on, and afterward it didn't hurt so bad. I took a good look at my tooth, and boy was it a dandy. I started thinking about all the things I could do with it. Maybe I could enter it at the fair and win a ribbon, or I could show it off at school like Jim Bob did when he lost his tooth. Or maybe I would tie it to a piece of string and make a necklace for my baby sis, Minnie-Ma. But she'd only be able to borrow it, 'cause I was going to keep that tooth forever. Mama said I was supposed to put it under my pillow, and when the tooth fairy came, she'd bring me some money and trade for it for my tooth. Now I sure could have used some money, but there was just no way I was going to let that old tooth fairy take that mighty fine tooth of mine. So I locked my window to keep her out. But then I started thinking that she being a fairy and all might be able to get in anyway, and if she did, sure then a bear goes searching for honey, she'd go searching for my tooth. So I had to think of a real good hiding place. Under my bed? Nah, too easy. In the closet? No. Then I had it. One of the floorboards under the rug had come loose, and it was just the right place to hide a tooth. So I wrapped my tooth in tissue paper and stuffed it in the crack under the floorboard. It was a good thing I slept with one eye open, 'cause some time past midnight I saw a little light about the size of a butterfly right outside my window. I knew it was that old tooth fairy coming to get my tooth. Then quicker than I could say, "Crawdads in the crick," she appeared inside my room. I suppose locking that window was no good. I pretended to be asleep, but I had to make double sure my tooth was safe, so I kept my eye open, just a peek. That old tooth fairy was floating toward me. Closer and closer she came till she landed on my bed. Then she lifted the corner of my pillow and vanished. I held my breath. I could feel her moving around, looking for my tooth. What's going to happen when she doesn't find it, I wondered. Then suddenly, like a gust of wind, she came flying out the other side of my pillow, zoomed under my bed. It sounded like a train wreck as she banged into tin cans, rocks, and other treasures I kept hidden under there. She searched and searched. I wondered when she was going to give up. But then, quick as a flash, she came out and headed straight for my dresser, grabbed the latches, and yanked all the drawers open. Now that's mighty strong for someone her size, if you ask me. She tossed all my clothes on the floor, but still no tooth. Then she whizzed over to my toy chest and dove in. My blood was boiling as I watched her slinging and flinging toys everywhere. I wasn't pretending to be asleep anymore. No siree, Bob. Gritting my teeth and shouting, I jumped out of bed, turned on the light, and ran for my minnow catching net. That old tooth fairy wasn't expecting that, and she took off like a scared rabbit. She zipped this way and that as I chased her around the room. Books tumbled off the shelf, pictures went flying off the wall, and my paints and easel came crashing to the ground. I was plumb tuckered out and could hardly catch my breath when that old tooth fairy flew low to the ground. I knew it was my only chance of catching her, so I dove headfirst after her, but I slipped on the rug and stubbed my toe on the loose floorboard. My net went flying, and I landed face down on the ground. That old tooth fairy burst out laughing, but it was no funny matter, 'cause the tissue wrapped around my tooth was sticking out of the floorboard like a sore thumb. That old tooth fairy's eyes lit up, and she went after it like a dog on a bone. "Oh, no, you don't," I hollered. Quick as lightning, I jumped to my feet and dashed for my net. She had my tooth unwrapped, and was just carrying it away when, whoosh, I scooped her right up. "I got you, you old tooth-crazed fairy," I yelled. But when I looked at that old tooth fairy, she wasn't fighting or yelling. She was curled up in a little ball and crying her heart out. I wasn't expecting that, and I couldn't help but feel sorry for her. "Please don't cry, tiny tooth fairy," I begged her. I'll let you go if you promise to leave my tooth alone. It's, it's not that, she sobbed. It's just that I have always wanted to become a real tooth fairy, and now I'll never be. Don't be silly. Of course you're a real tooth fairy, I said. Not yet, she sniffed. I'm still in the tryouts. You see, fairies have to collect a certain amount of teeth to become real tooth fairies. This is my last night in the tryouts, and yours is the last tooth I need. But I see now I won't ever make it. She looked so sad. What do you do with all the teeth you collect? I asked her. We build cities with them, she said. Magical fairy cities that sparkle like stars. I imagined my tooth shining like a star in a magic city. That seemed much better than winning a ribbon or showing it off at school. I tell you what, almost tooth fairy, I said. If you promise to put my tooth in just the right place in your city, and if you help me get my room back to spotless, I'll let you have it. I let her out of the net, and quicker than I could eat up a batch of cookies, she had my room back to spotless. And true to my word, I handed over my tooth. The almost tooth fairy handed me a gold coin. When a child first loses a tooth, it has a special shine that only the fairies can see. But it only shines the first night it comes out, she said. If you put this coin under your pillow every time you lose a tooth, the fairies will not be able to see the shine, and will not know that you have lost a tooth. Then you will always be able to keep your teeth. Yippee, I said. I'll have the greatest collection of teeth in the world, and Tug's going to be madder than a hornet about that. I went to thank her, but before I could say, crab apples up a tree, she was gone. Well, that's the story about how I got in a fight with the almost tooth fairy, who of course is a real tooth fairy now. Most people think I'm telling another tall tale, and Tug says I made up a whopper to beat his story about how he knocked my tooth out with a potato. They tell me to prove it, and ask to see my gold coin. But that's the thing about a gold coin from a fairy. You can't go showing it off, or it might turn into a regular gold coin. You might think I'm telling another tall tale, but if I were you, next time you lose a tooth, and if you want to keep it, be sure and sleep with one eye open, and keep a good sturdy minnow catching net nearby. And if you're still not sure, like I said, I'll eat a slimy slug to prove it. Well, that's quite the story, isn't it, kids? Very interesting. I love you all very much. Goodbye.